Ebisu Nishi, one of the greatest drift tracks of all time. At the legendary Ebisu circuit, this Ebisu track is one of the best. The wonderful people at Virtual Drift Championship has brought us VDC Ebisu Nishi. So today, let's learn how to master it. And if you're excited to get into this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot, helps me out a lot. Overall, makes everyone's day a lot better. So here we are, beautiful Ebisu circuit. For some reason, I'm tilted. All right, a little bit better. Kind of just tilted the other direction, but it will do. So here are the cones. As you can see, cones aren't very deep. They're nice and shallow. You can get around them real easy. Then we come up the main straight, and it is a uphill into the first corner. Now, here it is extremely tricky. I like to initiate at the 3 cone. Some people do it at the 2 cone. I like the 3 cone because the point of this first corner is to hit this outside zone completely. You want to have your rear tires along this white line. And then you want to move your car in a mid line to an inside line. Now, the reason being is if you shoot inside and have your front tire along this white line, you're going to cut off the chase. And if you're wide, well, it just feels weird. So what you want to do from outer zone 1 into inner clip 1 in a midline, an outside line to midline to inside line, but in a very slow fashion. You don't want to go inside too quickly. This inner clip is your innermost point of the corner. Then you want to push the car outwards to outer zone 2. Now here, it's extremely easy to drop a tire. As you can see, there's a difference between the marbles and the tarmac. The tarmac is, normal road surface, and the marbles is actually gravel. So you want to place your car from inner clip 1 to outer zone 2 in a nice arc. Then you want to stay wide, continue through the corner, through outer zone 2, and start to transition mid-track, essentially where this white line is here. And you want to move the rear of your car over to outer zone 3. Now here, depending on where you transition, it's super easy for the car to feel light because you're going over a crest. And since it's light, that means over rotation is extremely easy. So what I like to do is I like to slowly rotate into outer zone 3 because if I'm quickly flicking the car, more than likely I'm going to over rotate, spin out, and I'm not going to have a good day, right? So using my momentum from outer zone 2 into outer zone 3, after outer zone 3, I want to begin to move inside into inner clip 2. And here, as per every VDC track, you want to have your bumper grazing along the cone. You don't want it inside. You want it to barely touch it. And here, because of that crest, again, it's super easy to carry a lot of angle. You don't want to be on the locks like 90 degrees through this corner. You really want to be at like that 50 to 60 degrees of angle because you need to carry a lot of momentum. Because you're going from inner clip 2, transitioning mid-track, and getting into outer zone 4. Here, you are carrying a lot of speed. And at this clip, here's where you can pour on the angle along this wall ride because you need to slow the car down. What I like to do is I like to come from inner clip 2, transition mid-track into outer zone 4, and carry all the angle through this corner, riding this wall all the way through. Now, once you feel these rumble strips here, you want to get off it as soon as possible. Because if you ride too wide, what's going to happen is you're going to go off into the gravel over here. And if you don't feel the rumble strips, well, more than likely, you're too inside and you're going to run into the grass here. So ideally, coming through outer zone 4, through the wall, you want to start to move off the wall right where that rumble strip is. You want to have your front tires barely graze these rumble strips. You want to have a slight feeling of them, but really, you don't got to be on them. It's just a reference point, and it will perfectly arc you into outer zone 5. And here, it is super easy to overshoot, drop a tire. What that will do is ruin your momentum and kind of make the rest of the run kind of feel weird. So you want to use these 2 reference points in order for you not to go off track. Then from there, you want to continue wide and stay somewhat track right, but more so mid-track to track right, and start to transition where you feel a little hump in the road here. As you can see, there's some slight elevation, and for some reason, you could feel it really dramatically. And that's where I like to transition. And as a reference point, I want to be pointing the other direction at this little pop out of the white line. As you can see, it is a straight line and then there's a little hump poking out. And I want to be pointed the other direction already and go through this interclip. Now this is interclip 3. And again, you want to just graze your bumper along the interclip, not even touching it, and arc yourself perfectly into outer zone 6 and interclip 3. Now here, I like to use as much momentum as possible. I like to have tons of angle and just glide myself through this zone. It feels super satisfying and you're not really choking yourself up. You're not making a lot of corrections. You can just use the angle to slow yourself down, use a little bit of throttle feathering in order for yourself not to wash wide in this outer zone, in order for yourself not to wash wide in this inner clip. So once you hit outer zone 6, begin to feather the throttle, move to inner clip 3, and then from there, you'll arc yourself beautifully into outer zone 7. And here, make sure not to drop a tire over the white line. As you can see, these tire marks aren't the best because I sadly dropped over the white line. Don't want to do that. And then transition track right. As you can see, I use the rumble strip as a reference. You could put a wheel on the rumble, which I use to put myself on that outer line. And from there, this is the final outer zone 8. And here, it's really tricky to get this outer zone because there are a couple of kinks in the wall. And the goal of this outer zone is to be on that white line throughout. So what I like to do is set my angle in the beginning of the zone, then use some feathering of the throttle. So make some corrections of the throttle, keep myself on that wide arc. You don't have to be going a billion miles an hour here, right? This course isn't very fast. The goal isn't speed. It's more so having as smooth of a run as possible. So some key takeaways of this track. The initiation, you don't want to be inside too early because if you are, you're going to cut off the chase and it's going to look quite gross. Then as you go over the hill, you don't want to drop a tire and you want to not be on a ton of angle and rotate the car slowly over this outer zone. And then the rest of the course, it feels really flowing. There's not a lot of choppiness to it. It's honestly a super flowing course. And my main takeaway that I want you to have, if you haven't been listening, listen right now. Don't try to be as fast as possible because if you try to carry as much speed as you humanly can through this course, guess what? You're just going to slam into the wall. You're going to go wide. It's not going to be a fun day. So take your time. You don't got to rush through this course. It's not made for that. So with that said, that was our track walkthrough. Now let's take a look at a couple of runs and really dive deep into the said runs. And before we get driving, I want to give a huge shout out to my boy Brandon Patrick for sending me his Corvette C5. This is the only competitive drift car Corvette C5 in Assetto Corsa, and might I say, it is absolutely gorgeous. From the interior to the exterior to all of its details, this car is absolutely brilliant and it could be yours today on his Gumroad. I'll leave the link down below. I'm not telling you you have to buy it. I'm just saying the option's there if you want it. So let's get into some driving. So as a quick track guide, you come through the cones and I always move mid-track in order to flick into the first corner. I do this with pretty much every track. I get on throttle right when this zone starts and then I begin to move inwards towards the inner clip. Now as you can see, I'm not all the way inside immediately. I hit the inner clip, second outer zone, I get wide there, and then transition, and again, I have to be very careful with this transition in outer zone 3. Make sure the car doesn't over rotate. Hit inner clip 2 transition about the midway point into OZ4. Ride that wall. That was honestly beautiful. Then we get through OZ5. Then here is inner clip 2. Again, transition where there's that hump. I use that white line on the right side as reference. Hit OZ6, IC3. I did clip it a little bit. My bad. OZ7, nice and wide transition. Then I use a little bit of throttle manipulation just to keep myself nice and wide, and that's how to do VDC Nishi. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. It shows that you do enjoy this video, and comment down below if you do have any questions. With that said, my friends, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.